KSAT12. The news at noon starts right now.
This noon, former President Donald Trump heading here. What you see on your screen, a federal courthouse in Miami. He's going to become the first former U.S. president to be arraigned on federal charges.
He is facing a total of 37 counts. His motorcade expected to leave any minute now, and we will bring you that live when it happens.
But until then, an update this noon. We've learned a man has died after falling 15 feet while installing a manhole. All of this just happening earlier today, according to the San Antonio Fire Department.
It happened around 8 this morning on Rogers Road near Loop 1604 and Highway 151 on the northwest side. It's not clear yet how the man fell or who he works for, but we are working to gather more information.
And new this noon, one man in the hospital, another detained after a shooting on the city's northeast side.
Officers were called just after 9 a.m. to the 4100 block of Sunrise Terrace, not far from North Foster Road and Benzingelman Road. Police say two men got into a fight, which then turned violent. One man ended up pulling out a gun and shooting the other man in the leg. Officers don't know why they were fighting, but say that the two men knew each other.
And police say the suspect jumped into a car, took off, but police were able to catch up to him at a nearby gas station. The victim, taken to the hospital, is expected to recover. Luckily, no one else was hurt.
Well, San Antonio police are looking for a killer. The person who shot a man steps away from the Bexar County Jail.
The shooting happening under the Commerce Street Bridge, an area known to police as a homeless camp.
Katrina Weber has the story from the scene and tells us why they may have a tough time solving it.
Based on what police told me, this seems to be a case where clues will be hard to come by. They say no one actually saw what happened here, although people did report hearing those gunshots. Someone called 911 just before 7 this morning, bringing police to the area near West Commerce and South San Marcos Street. Under the bridge, officers found a man who had been shot in his chest. Although paramedics tried, they were not able to save his life. The man, who police say appeared to be around 30, died of his wounds. They also believe that is where he had been living. The encampment is right next door to the Bexar County Jail. Still, someone broke the law there in a deadly way. Investigators plan to look at surveillance video for clues. One lead they're following is that the shooting may be related to a previous argument the victim had with two other men. Police say they have a very vague description of a person who was seen running away from this area, but right now they have no idea who that person is. Reporting from downtown, Katrina Weber, KSAT12 News.
All right, let's head outside with live cam. Still not super sunny this morning, and I know that we're hitting the noon hour, but Justin, it's still going to be hot. Don't be fooled.
Still going to be hot, yes, but just like yesterday, these clouds are really helping us. The longer they stick around, the better it is for us. We'll see temperatures kind of hold off for a little bit before they really jump up into the 90s today. And I still don't think we hit 100 today, but the humidity is so thick it'll feel like it. Let me show you the satellite picture, and you can see those morning clouds. They are starting to erode. So here around San Antonio, I'd give it another hour and we'll probably see the sun pop out. Still some thick clouds around Kerrville, Uvalde, Rock Springs, the rest of the area starting to see that sun pop out. And you can see the temperatures, the difference it makes. 90 in Gonzales, 89 Victoria, hot spot Cotulla, 94. It was really hot there yesterday. They got up to nearly 108 yesterday. 80 in Helotes, 79 Bernie Stage, 78 Comfort. It's cloudy there. And as we look at the heat advisories, they're in place for San Antonio and Point South, but I would tell you that everywhere in South Texas, we've got to be careful today, especially with the humidity as thick as it is. Temperatures will jump up into the 90s here fairly quickly once that sun pops out, and I think we'll be up around 98 this afternoon. But the feels like number will be close to 104. 102 is what it will feel like at 6 p.m. It'll take probably until about 9 o'clock for us to really feel kind of any cool down. 88 by 10 p.m. and 83 by midnight. These hot temperatures continue right on into the weekend. We'll look at that for you. Look at the 7-day forecast for your Father's Day weekend coming up here in just a couple minutes, guys.
Thank you, Justin. We're getting a look at the woman arrested in a murder case. This is 68-year-old Doris Campos, charged with the murder of her own sister. The arrest affidavit reading at the time her sister was found. Another woman also found dead in the same South Side home. The affidavit reads that Campos admitted to shooting and killing her sister. It's believed the two women were dead a couple days before their bodies were even found.
San Antonio police say a man is in critical condition after he crashed overnight while riding his motorcycle. It happened just after 10 last night on Roosevelt, not far from 410 on the city's south side. Police say the man lost control and crashed, and he was taken to the hospital.
Police at Uvalde CISD, they're going to be going through active shooter training next week, just more than a year after the mass shooting at Robb Elementary. Now, Sarah Costa tells us what we know about the training and what the residents of Uvalde may hear and see take place.
This training comes after law enforcement waited 77 minutes to enter the classrooms after the shooting began at Robb Elementary last May, where 21 people died. So here is what the district has released about the training that is happening next week. The school district says its police officers' exercises will include entry and confrontation training. Remember, both were key issues in the response at Robb. However, this is a different group of officers. They'll be going through this training. UCISD has revamped its police force since May of 2022. Next week's training will be held at the district's dual language academy, and people living near the school should expect to hear simulated gunfire and see vehicles driving quickly. Uvalde CISD named Joshua Gutierrez as its official police chief in March of this year after working as an interim chief since last year. The school board unanimously approved Gutierrez in November of 2022 for the interim position. The previous police chief was Pete Arredondo, who came under major scrutiny for the law enforcement handling of the mass shooting at Robb Elementary on May 24th of 2022. Arredondo was fired in August. 1 year since the Robb Elementary School shooting, it remains unclear whether any of the nearly 400 law enforcement officers who responded that fateful May day will be criminally charged for their inaction. Only 5 of the 376 peace officers who responded to the massacre have been terminated or resigned while facing possible disciplinary action. None have been criminally charged. That training will take place June 20th through 22nd, so that's Tuesday through Thursday of next week. And the district wanted to prepare the parents and the community about those sounds of gunfire. They'll be using blanks, not actual bullets, that will most likely be heard in the neighborhood. That campus will also be closed during that time. Sarah Costa, KSAT12 News.
Well, a newly signed law will help crack down on street takeovers in the state of Texas. House Bill 1442 will help with prosecution and seizure of vehicles after reckless driving incidents. Street takeovers, which have plagued San Antonio and other cities like Austin, fall into this category. 3 people, the ones on your screen, were arrested this weekend after a takeover. 2 traffic tickets were handed out and 2 guns were also seized. San Antonio Police Sergeant Washington Moscoso says the bill will help law enforcement in court.
Sees it, on Saturday. They just can't show up on Monday and go pick up their car from the pound. They got to wait for the seizure hearing.
The statewide bill goes into effect September 1st.
Now to a day that'll be unprecedented here in the United States. History. Former President Donald Trump expected to become the first former president to be arrested and arraigned on federal criminal charges in Miami. ABC's Rena Roy reports authorities in Miami have been ramping up security, with Trump calling on his supporters to protest.
It's a day that will be recorded in history books. Former President Donald Trump scheduled to be arrested and arraigned this afternoon on dozens of federal criminal charges in this Miami courthouse. Trump touching down in Miami Monday. He has remained defiant, insisting he won't drop out of the presidential race even if he's found guilty, telling radio host Howie Carr,
I just say not guilty. I didn't do anything wrong.
Trump is facing 37 counts, accused of storing classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago resort, some found in a ballroom, storage room, and even a bathroom. Federal prosecutors say the documents contain some of the nation's most sensitive secrets, including defense and weapons capabilities, America's nuclear programs, and plans for possible retaliation in response to a foreign attack. In their indictment, federal prosecutors allege Trump knew he was not authorized to keep the documents, but did so anyway, even allegedly obstructing the investigation by moving dozens of boxes to hide them from his own lawyers and the FBI. The former president already fundraising off of the indictment and calling on his supporters to protest, some from both sides already showing up at Trump's Miami hotel.
So I'm here honestly just to show solidarity and support for my president. I think what they've done to him over the past 6 years was disgusting.
We know what this con artist from New York has gotten away with. Enough is enough. He needs to pay.
Local police joining forces with the Secret Service and U.S. Marshals to beef up security around town.
We're taking this event extremely serious. We know that there is a potential of things taking a turn for the worse, but that's not the Miami way.
Officials say that there are no credible threats of violence. Trump is expected to be arraigned here at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Rena Roy, ABC News, Miami.
All right. Say hello to your reigning NBA champions, the Nuggets, taking home the gold yesterday. We're going to tell you what happened and how they are now tied with the Spurs with a unique accolade. We'll be right back.
Looking ahead, teachers and staff in Northeast ISD are getting a pay raise. The district's Board of Trustees has approved nearly $35 million package that will apply to all of NEISD's nearly 8,000 employees. The district says the pay raises will bring returning employees' salary in line with market data based on their experience. All eligible employees will also receive a 2% retention incentive in November. NEISD says this is the largest salary increase for its staff in nearly 20 years.
Well, the scorching summer heat has people running their AC across the state, and that has officials at ERCOT concerned about possible record energy demand. A lot of outages have not been expected yet, but it could still happen due to that high demand and weak wind and solar power. ERCOT says it will provide, quote, clear and reliable alerts before potential conditions for that high demand really ramps up. You can sign up for those notifications online. If you're interested, we have a full link to do so and an explainer right now. Just head to KSAT12.
Look outside with live cam. We just talked about those clouds, and I know usually those would look like rain, but that is not the case. We've had a lot of rain so far in May and early June, but it's looking dry.
Well, I'm glad we built up a little bit of a surplus because things are drying up very quickly. The aquifer is starting to go down, and as we look at the aquifer levels, they're down big time today, 1.3 feet. 644.4 is our current number. We're still in stage 2 watering restrictions for SAWS customers. Low counts of mold, pigweed, and grass in your pollen count, nothing to worry about there. It's just the heat we got to worry about. We'll talk about that. What that haze is in the atmosphere as well, we'll bring that up too, coming up after the break.
Welcome back. So it's only 84 degrees now.
Right. Feels pretty good.
It doesn't feel bad. Even yesterday, Justin, I know my car temperature said 100 degrees. It wasn't that bad out because there was no direct sunshine, but triple digits coming?
They are, and I think they probably hold off until sort of the end of the work week. But regardless if it's 98 or 102, and with its humidity and all, hot is hot, and so this whole week's going to be kind of brutal if you're going to be outside. Hey, I just got an email from a viewer asking, what about the haze in the air? What is that? Well, we do have some smoke coming in from the fires in Mexico. We see those every year. It's not a huge concentration, but it is there. You combine that with the humidity, and yes, you do get a little bit of a haze on the horizon there as you look over the city. So to answer your question, that's what it is. It's not bad air quality, though. I mean, we're doing okay in that sense. Hey, I want to take you back to last year. At this point last year, we had 12 days of 100 degrees plus. We had already hit 105. So we are doing better than last year. We like to look at the positives here when we look at this forecast. And so this year we've only had 0 days. Our hottest day so far has been 98. It's just about where we'll be today. I don't think we climb above that 100 degree mark. Again, these clouds are really helping us out. The reason it's been so hot, our big ridge of high pressure, which right now is sitting over Mexico, it's bringing really hot temperatures there. And then as you get on the periphery of these things, a lot of times you'll get little disturbances that rotate around them. We're too close to the center, so we're not going to see that. But up across northeast Texas, we are getting some of those storms, and there's been a lot of severe weather. In fact, a new severe thunderstorm watch box stretching from northeast Texas into parts of Louisiana, where there likely will be some stronger storms again today. And then feeding into that, we have a good southerly fetch coming off the Gulf of Mexico. So that's all that moisture that's moving in here, and it is sticky. Dew points are in the 70s, and when you combine that with the heat, it's not a good combination. And dew points today will probably stay in the 70s, maybe upper 60s, but low 70s is a good bet, and that translates to some pretty high heat indices. Right now, 84 at the airport, still cloudy. That's good. 85 Stinson, 84 Kelly, 85 at Randolph, and you see that stout south-southeasterly wind. That stays with us most of today. The cloud deck starting to shrink, and you would expect that to happen this time of year, but this time of day, I should say. But the thickest clouds are up here around Kerrville and Hondo and Rock Springs. And then around San Antonio, we're starting to see the clouds break up just a little bit. We're still in the 80s, but where there's full sun, you see the difference that it makes. 94 right now in Cotulla, 89 Pleasanton, 90 in Gonzales with partly cloudy skies there. And a little closer look here, Bexar County, mid-80s right now. Cooler spot, if you want to call it that, is in Helotes, where it is 81. But the heat index there is still 87. And we're starting to feel like we're in the 90s now when you factor in that thicker humidity. The highest heat indices, just like yesterday, Pleasanton and Gonzales, where it's already feeling like it's in the low 100s. So here's our KSAT 12-hour forecast. 92 by 2 o'clock, 95 by 3 p.m. 101 is what it will feel like in the afternoon. Mostly sunny skies, and then I think the heat index probably peaks somewhere around 104, 105 with a high temperature of 98. 97 at 6 o'clock, 96, 7 p.m., and then down into the 80s tonight. Not much of a cool down. We'll probably end up in the upper 70s by tomorrow morning. Forecast heat index around the area. Yeah, 104 here, but further to the south and west, you really get into some really high numbers here. 109 is what it could feel like in Pearsall today, 109 in Carrizo Springs. There are heat advisories, again, posted for most of the area, but everyone's got to pay attention to these numbers today. And I do want to mention, too, that today is a CPS Energy Green Day conservation. So we'll start showing these every now and then. Green's good. It means we're doing okay with energy consumption. But there may be days as things heat up that it may not be a green day, and we'll pass it along to you if we need to conserve a little bit of energy. We know what's happened in past summers. So again, that's something we'll be passing along to you. If you want to find out more information, you can check that out on our website. You can scan that QR code. Down the line, high pressure really starts to build in, and that again means more heat. It gets bigger, stronger, not what we want to see. And so that's why numbers later on in the forecast are as high as they are. 101 Thursday, 103 Friday, 103 Saturday, and 103 Sunday and Monday. So Father's Day, Juneteenth, it's going to be hot. No doubt about it. And likely much of next week we'll be looking at the same thing, guys.
I do like that conservation, the colors that you guys are going to put out, because it is, you're always wondering, should I be turning it down a little bit?
Correct.
Should I be turning it up a little bit? So that's great to know.
Yes.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Justin. All right, still a lot more to come here on the news at noon. Oh, how about those Nuggets? Only 5 games. I will say last night was a nail biter at the end, but Nikola Jokic, 2-time MVP, getting it done. We're going to explain what happened. We might even talk about Wemby a little bit. The Denver Nuggets are your reigning NBA champions, a team overpowering the Miami Heat just 5 games, earning the Nuggets' first title in league history. ABC's Will Reeve has all the details.
They're not going to foul!
This morning, for the first time in franchise history, the Denver Nuggets are NBA champions.
At last, the long wait is over after 47 years.
In a tight and tense Game 5, Denver beating the Miami Heat 94-89. Just another day at the office for Finals MVP Nikola Jokic.
It's nice to win, though. How does it feel?
It's nice, we did a job. Now we can go home.
Jokic, ever the humble superstar.
You've won 2 MVPs, a Finals MVP, and a world title. Yet you don't seem to... You care, obviously, but it doesn't seem to get to you. Why is that?
It's not that important, I think. I think the fans, family, and the relationship is something. I think I have some friends for life in this team. So I think that's more important than a championship.
The Joker's right-hand man on the court, Jamal Murray, crashed teammate Michael Porter Jr.'s GMA interview.
Yeah, Mike! My bad, y'all. Yeah, you're good. Y'all good?
And later sat down with us to reflect.
That was the goal from a young age, to be on this stage and impacting the game and everything I could have asked for.
But not before diving into the championship celebration.
Cola tackled you into the pool. What happened there? I thought he was going to the cold tub. I was like, oh, no, you crazy.
The Nuggets all credited the collective as the reason for their historic season.
Do this as a team with this group of guys, no better feeling.
In downtown Denver, Nuggets fans erupting. And Rocky the mascot was fired up too.
Rocky, you just won the NBA title. What are you going to do now?
And the Finals MVP says there's more to life than basketball.
Where would you rank basketball in terms of things you're best at?
I have a great family. I have a great fans third.
Nicole.
All right, we have some breaking news now. We are going to head to an ABC special report. Former President Donald Trump headed to a federal court in Miami.
All right, let's listen in.
The president's motorcade now taking him from the Doral Resort to the federal courthouse in Miami. We've seen some movement there already. The very early parts of that motorcade. The president is expected to surrender to authorities. He then will be processed. We're not sure at this hour the order in which that will go, whether or not he'll be here before the magistrate and then be processed, or vice versa. ABC News learning he's not expected to have a mugshot taken. Little to none of today's proceeding will unfold in front of the cameras, though we do have a reporting team inside that courtroom. We'll be getting great detail from them as this afternoon wears on. Donald Trump, of course, facing that 37-count indictment for his handling of highly classified documents found at Mar-a-Lago, allegedly including documents on the U.S. nuclear program, U.S. vulnerabilities to come under attack, how the U.S. military might respond. And he has said he will plead not guilty, insisting he did nothing wrong. Again, live pictures right now at Doral. We're awaiting the motorcade to pull out at any moment. We're told there is movement inside the resort. He spent last night there in South Florida, and we're told he was interviewing still local attorneys in this 11th hour for the case after two of his attorneys resigned amid this indictment. He'll be joined by two attorneys currently representing him in his legal battles in New York City. Federal and local authorities have been working for days to secure the courthouse. You're looking at it right there. He'll appear a short time from now, both inside and outside. The Secret Service trying to limit his movement inside the building. Donald Trump has urged his supporters to come protest. Miami's mayor, both last night and today, saying the city is prepared for this. And what we have seen so far are people both for and against Trump gathering there, but sort of milling about where the media has gathered there. No significant presence to report, really, as of yet. You can see on your screen right now charges in this 49-page indictment. Those charges include willful retention of documents, obstruction, and conspiracy. The indictment includes images showing boxes stacked throughout Mar-a-Lago, in the ballroom, in a shower, in a bedroom, an office, bathroom, spilled on the floor in a storage closet. And the indictment, as we've been reporting here, lays out in granular detail Donald Trump's alleged actions, accusing him of being personally involved in removing documents. When the Justice Department demanded that he return all sensitive materials in his possession, he allegedly suggested at one point an attorney hide or destroy them. And at one point, he allegedly suggested, quote, wouldn't it be better if we just told them we don't have anything here? The indictment lists an alarming and vast collection of files containing some of America's most closely guarded secrets, military activities of several foreign countries, nuclear capabilities of foreign countries in support of terror attacks, military operations against U.S. forces, military planning of the U.S. nuclear weaponry of the U.S., details of an attack on a foreign country. And of course, that just lists what they felt comfortable with, what they were allowed to list in this 49-page indictment. Among the more damning allegations, Donald Trump is said to have shown classified materials to unauthorized people at least twice since leaving office. One of those moments recorded on audio, Trump allegedly saying, quote, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't. I want to bring in our chief justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas. We learned so much from this 49-page indictment, and you and I have talked often about this because it was a speaking indictment. Jack Smith knew he had to lay out this case before the American people in great detail in order to bring them along in the case. He knew not everyone would come along no matter what, but that was what they intended to do by laying it out in such detail.
Absolutely, David. They knew that it was likely that Donald Trump would try to define what they did before he would be arraigned in court. So that was one factor. But the most important thing is that they knew, given the gravity, you're talking about indicting a former president of the United States who's running for office again. They knew that they had to let the American people know why they took such a dramatic step. And I'm told that this was not a decision made lightly. I was told last night the Attorney General was briefed down the stretch that this was coming, that he allowed it to go forward to make a move that puts the Justice Department on the political landscape right now because it's now part of the national dialogue.
And again, Pierre, what made this so telling, this indictment, was willful retention, obstruction, conspiracy, all of these allegations included.
The key here is that they said that Donald Trump had every opportunity to return these documents. Second, they also wanted to make clear that we're talking about the most coveted secrets that the United States government has. Information about weapons, also information about spies and electronic surveillance programs. They took the important step of also listing the agencies that these documents came from. They wanted to leave nothing to chance. They said some of these documents came from the CIA. Some of these documents came from the NSA. Some of these documents came from the Pentagon. They want the world to know this is what he took. And also there's a statement in the indictment that I sort of looked over last week, which says categorically that when he left office, Donald Trump was not authorized to retain these documents, namely that he had not declassified them.
Jack Smith trying to make it very clear in that 49-page indictment, when Donald Trump left office, those documents were not his. They belonged to the American people and the government. You're looking at the motorcade leaving Doral now, headed to the federal courthouse. The former president saying he will plead not guilty, that I've done nothing wrong. And Dan Abrams, we've heard repeatedly Donald Trump saying there's the Presidential Records Act. That covers me. There's nothing criminal here. Those documents I'm allowed to have in my possession. In your opinion, why doesn't that work?
So the Presidential Records Act is basically in place to figure out a way to monitor and chronicle presidential records. It's specifically related to the president. Senators don't have it. Vice presidents don't have it. It's something unique to the president. And then you have to figure out which of the documents are necessarily covered by the Presidential Records Act. And there have been disputes in the past. Should this be covered? Shouldn't this be covered? Donald Trump's position is everything that I had should not have been covered by the Presidential Records Act.
Nuclear secrets, U.S. military vulnerabilities?
His position is that he is entitled to claim all of it as his personal documents. Problem with that is your question, right? If you take that argument to its extreme, that means he's saying he's allowed to take any and every document that belongs to the government and say it belongs to him. The fundamental legal problem with that is that there was a court ruling that made it clear that what are called agency documents are not related to the Presidential Records Act. They're not subject to the presidential right. So you can't say
you're talking about CIA,
the FBI document, the CIA document. You can't say those are my documents because they never belonged to you in the first place. There was a big case that came out of this related to Bill Clinton, and it related to him making his own tapes, which he was going to use for a book. And there was a dispute, and a court in 2012 basically said it's kind of up to Bill Clinton because he was president. And the Trump team is trying to say, see, well, that should apply to us. Of course, that's wildly different when you're talking about someone making tapes of themselves and a dispute over should that be presidential records or not. Here you're talking about taking documents that belong to the government and belong to particular agencies. And that's why the argument fails.
And as we watch this motorcade now make its way to the federal courthouse there in Miami, very basic question for you, Dan. Would we even be watching this play out had Donald Trump turned those documents back over to the National Archives?
No, and we wouldn't still be here if he had turned them over to the FBI. So he had two chances, right? First, it was the National Archives. We definitely wouldn't be here if these documents had been turned over to the National Archives.
All right, and that was the latest in the special report. We're going to be dipping in and out of the coverage as former President Donald Trump starts to move towards the courthouse.
Yep, right there in Miami. So we'll take you back there soon. As of now, we'll be right back.